Hey guys, welcome to Weird Nation. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Christina, and let's get weird. This week, what we're going to be doing is talking about tarot cards. Those mystical, not playing cards, even though you could probably use them for poker if you got really creative. So, Sarah, what is your favorite thing about tarot cards?
My favorite thing about tarot cards is that they give you an opportunity to look at the big picture instead of looking at the nitty-gritty details. So it's really great
There's a lot of
for
big
taking a
pictures.
step back. I mean, the pretty pictures and artwork is kind of a plus too.
Just making a joke.
I like the pretty pictures.
I love the pretty pictures.
Look at how cute that is. It's all
Oh, he's
like
so handsome. Oh my
watercolory,
goodness.
right?
So, for those of you who are listening, we do have a YouTube channel where we put up all of our videos as well. So, if you're curious about what all of this looks like, which you should tune into that because Sarah has a beautiful watercolor ish deck, and I have one that has a bunch of kitty cats and another one that just has amazing artwork. So, we'll link that down below if you're curious.
Christina, how do you incorporate tarot in everyday life?
Oh my gosh, I'm glad you're asking me that today for the first time. So, what I like to do is sometimes I'll get up and I might just go to my tarot cards and wonder how the day is going to go. Because sometimes you feel like maybe you're in a funk or you don't understand how the flow is going. So, you just scatter them all up, pick out your favorite card. I literally fan them out and just pick one, and that usually tells me how my day is gonna go.
Oh.
And at the very least, it lets you be conscious of how you may react negatively to certain situations. And that's what I find the most helpful. Even if you don't really believe in tarot cards, it's a bunch of mystic mumbo jumbo. It lets you go with your gut a lot more, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
What
It
about
gives you
you?
a good framework for how you should move forward.
Yeah.
Excuse the little frog in the throat.
No
I
worries.
think the way that I incorporate tarot into my everyday life is, and I've only been doing this for a couple of months now, but when I remember to, I'll do a tarot pull every day at the start of my day, especially before I start work, because I feel like it gives me a breath and an opportunity to kind of think about what my day is going to be like and what I should look forward to and maybe what some of the pitfalls are going to be. You know, if it tells me that I'm going to be a little less productive or procrastinate a little bit that day, I know what to look out for, and it's
Mm-hmm.
one of those things that if you don't take it as gospel, but as a grain of salt, with a grain of salt, um, you just it gives you a little idea of what you need to change to make your day better or what you should just accept.
Yeah. Good answer. All right. And what would you say to somebody who's interested in tarot cards, but maybe has never had a pack before? They kind of think it's a bunch of hooey and they don't really understand it. How would you get them interested?
um I would just tell them to try it. If they're interested, again, just take a look at it as a way to look at your big picture instead of like all of the minute details that we get lost in every day. Um, Sorry. And I really feel like, yeah, you just
Okay.
have to kind of pick a deck that resonates with you. And that feels really important, is going with your intuition to pick your deck. And then from there, you just, get your deck and start pulling.
That's a great point. So, one of the main things that deterred me from tarot reading for so long is the main deck that you see. It's called the Ryder deck, and it's yellow and white. And frankly, I hate it. I think it is so ugly, and truly no offense to anybody who loves that art style or to the artists themselves. Of course, art has a place for everybody. But for me personally, what I would prefer is something beautiful to look at, something that I can be excited to look at every day. And for me, that thing, little kitty cats. I just got this from Amazon the other day and it was amazing. I'm so happy I did. If you tuned into our last podcast, you know that me and Sarah are a little bit of cat people. So having something that you like looking at makes a big difference. And it makes it a lot less scary too. It makes it a lot less esoteric when you can just look at it and understand what the pictures are as opposed to some lady that's flying off in the clouds who's naked and you're a little uncomfortable with that.
And one of the things that my deck had me do, well, according to the guidebook, it had me do at the beginning of my tarot journey was going through the deck several times and just really familiarizing myself with the deck, with all of the artwork, with what some of the meanings are, what I intuitively think the meanings are,
Mm.
and just what resonates with me. And you pick a light card and a shadow card. And
Oh.
so, yeah, so you pick, and those are really, as long as you go with your intuition, apparently when they show up in your polls or your spreads, it means something really important is coming towards you. So it just amps up their meaning a little bit more because it's something that resonated with you.
Hmm. I love that. And that's another thing. So if you've never used tarot before, anybody can do it. It comes with these cute little cards. You go through it. Let's say you picked this one. Oh my gosh, Sarah!
Oh my God.
I keep picking this card. I just mentioned that to Sarah. I picked it the last time we had a podcast, and I've shuffled the deck a million times. This is my card. So anyway, how tarot cards work is you pick it, and it comes with this cute little book here, and you flip through the pages, and it has an exact description of what the card could mean to you. And when you're just getting into it, that's very helpful. But what I would suggest is exactly what Sarah just said. You can look at the cards and intuit your own meaning behind it. A lot of the times, you will find that that meaning changes slightly depending on the situation or what question you asked. So it's always better, in my opinion, to go with your gut because that's going to tell you what you need to hear more than anything else.
Well, and one of the things that I really love about my deck is that it has little affirmations in every single card. So instead
Mm.
of just having a meaning, it tells you the positive and the negative of the card, kind of sets it up in a you kind of way. And then it gives you a little affirmation as to how you can move forward and use this card positively. For example, I just pulled the Four of Pentacles and just flipping in my guidebook. The card itself is about stability, savings, success, generosity, accepting your worth, being in the flow with the universe, feelings of gratitude, helping others in times of need. But the affirmation says, I live an abundant life and have more than I need.
That's beautiful. I love that. It's nice when it condenses everything for you like that.
Mm-hmm. And there's a long form explanation about it as well, but it really gives you just a positive thing to hold on to and tell yourself so that you can move forward with the meaning of the card.
Yeah. Yeah, I have one here. The other deck that I have is called the Good Tarot. And I was mentioning to Sarah earlier, the reason that I really enjoy this one is because it doesn't give you all of the doom and gloom that sometimes you can feel other decks do. For example, some of the artwork in other decks might be a little bit uncomfortable, scary, depicting violence, that type of thing. So the reason I got this is because it says something nice, but it does tell you if maybe you should not do something as well. It's not just going to be a great card. So it's very similar to what Sarah did, except kind of the opposite. It sort of says a main thing right here. And then right below it, there's always a bit of a paragraph, and it's always in terms of I am doing this, that type of thing. And I love that because you read it and it is a lot like yours. It's a lot like an affirmation, just much longer, which is great.
Well, and these, like, you have 2 pages for every, and coincidentally, I opened the judgment card. But it has little point form lists and then a full explanation and then an affirmation. So
Mm.
it goes the full distance in making sure that you know what the card means, but also how you can apply it to your life.
Okay, that's great. Also, I do want to mention this one that I'm holding up and pointing out is one that I did pull for this podcast, and I just want to read it out loud, or maybe I won't. I want to read it to you though, Sarah. If I don't know
Okay.
if I'll cut this out or not.
Okay.
So it's the 6 of Fire, and it says stepping into the limelight, being an enlightened influencer. I generously model my transformation so that others may be inspired. I put my light atop a hill so it can shine forth, helping others to find their way. I remain aware of shadows and people who have trouble basking in the warm light of higher awareness. I bless them, but do not dim my own beacon. It's a time to renew my trust that I am contributing to the highest good of all in my own unique way. And that really touches my heart. I don't know about you, but it basically says that if this podcast is not for you or for somebody, just don't listen to the podcast. The podcast is for people who resonate and want to enjoy different things, a different vibration. You want to get into something that might be a little weird, a little out there, but it can really help you. It never hurts to have an open mind. Just try something. I love that. I thought that was perfect. Okay,
We should
so
totally
another
have an
question.
episode on crystals.
Oh, yeah, I'd love that. Yeah.
I don't know much about them, so it'd be a lot of like the blind leading blind, but
That's fair. I know a lot about them. I actually
anyway.
realized recently that I'm able to meditate on pictures of crystals as opposed to having their frequency in front of me.
Oh,
And I
okay.
can tap into it just as easy as if it was right there. It's interesting. If anybody out there wants to try that, just look at a picture of a crystal and see if you can meditate on it. So, Sarah, interesting question here, and I'm getting this from something my father once said to me. What would you say to somebody who thinks it might be considered a dark art?
um I would say that it's what you make of it.
Okay.
I would say that there's a lot of positivity in the cards, and instead of looking at the negative and saying, "Oh, it's dark," "Oh, blah blah blah," um, it's about your intuition. It's not about calling on the powers that be, or it doesn't have to be. It's about following your intuition about what you think is the right move for you to move in, or direction for you to move into.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think that there's anything negative about tarot, but I understand that there are certain religions and um, certain types of people who are going to think that regardless. But I think that I would just say, look at the positive messaging and the positives that you can see within the cards, and allow it to apply it. Allow yourself to apply it to your everyday life in the way that you see fit.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Now, Christina, question for you.
Yeah.
And I'm desperate to know, what is your favorite card and
Ah,
why?
okay. So, like I was telling Sarah actually, and I freaked out as soon as I pulled it out, this one means a lot to me lately.
And what
It
one is
tends
that?
to come out. So, this one is the 6 of Cups. And it shows that usually somewhere on the card, there's going to be a little numerical reference, usually Roman numerals. And cups, because they're eating from little cups, for those of you just listening, it does show bowls and two cats eating out of the bowls, except one of them is a kitten who's just sitting in the bowl. And it's basically saying to be nice to your inner kitten, bask in sunlight, maybe meet old friends and just lie in the sun with them. I love that. Also, I need to show you guys. Look at this. This is the devil card, which a lot of the time, actually, I don't remember offhand what it means, but look, I think I've shown you, Sarah. It's
Oh,
adorable. It's the only card in the entire deck that's a dog, and it's just a cute little golden retriever putting his paw up. It's just the devil. It's so funny. That's why I could never think that stuff like this is dark arts. Of course, you can make anything a dark art if you feel like it. You could put a hex on somebody right now. You don't have to be a witch to do anything. It's all about intentions, and if you come at something with light and love, that's what you get back.
well, and that's something that I really love about the deck that I have. It's called the Light Seers Tarot. So it's all about finding the light and allowing yourself to walk towards the light and, you know, seeing the positive. Yes, there's negative messages. Yes, there's things that are like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this, or this day is going to suck, or, you know, something terrible is on its way to you. Like, here's a warning. But at the same time, it's about seeing the light in those messages. So it's about seeing, even if you're looking at something in shadow, seeing the positive that can come from that, the opportunities for growth.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
Yeah.
Good. I have you asked me 2 questions already?
Yes.
Okay. Then I'm going to ask you the last one. You've already touched on this, but I want you to have a full-fledged answer. If this entire thing, all of tarot reading, proves to be a bunch of mumbo jumbo, it doesn't have anything mystical behind it, do you think it might have a placebo effect on people, and can that be a good thing?
I think that it does have a bit of a placebo effect. I mean, I believe in tarot and I believe that there is something mystic behind it. But at the same time, if it turns out that I'm wrong, and sometimes I am, you know, sometimes my tarot cards don't come true in the way that I think that they will, or
Mm-hmm.
they may not, the message may not be strong enough, or I may be looking at the wrong message within the cards. But if it does turn out to be a bunch of hooey, it's a bunch of hooey that allowed me to look at my life in a more positive way and allow me to look at the big picture in my life instead of looking at all the minutia, like the little decisions that don't really matter but add up. And
Mm-hmm.
it gives me a framework for how to move forward with my day.
Good point. Well said.
Have you ever gotten a professional tarot reading?
I have. I've gotten a few. They're interesting, and what they always say is the same thing that you said previously. What they're reading is what your timeline is right now. If you make different decisions, then of course, whatever they're telling you is not going to happen. But what I really enjoy about professionals is they never look at the book, they never have to look up what they think something means. They give it to you from their gut. And sure, maybe they can be wrong about something, but again, it does allow you to analyze it. If they say, hey, there's somebody coming into your life that you have to be prepared for, maybe it's somebody great, maybe the love of your life is coming in. They can't really know that from tarot cards, but they maybe can use their intuition and say something like that. Then maybe you'll just be nicer to people. Maybe instead of being grumpy and huffing at everybody who looks at you or checks you out, maybe you'll think, maybe they're actually a nice person. Maybe I should give them the light of day. You know, the thing is, tarot cards do make you reassess your actions, and they can make you, it sounds silly, but it can make you a better person. That's just comes from analyzing your own actions.
I agree. And it comes from being able to, like I said, and I've said a couple of times in this episode, but letting yourself see the light in your situations. And I really think that
Mm-hmm.
tarot is a guide for personal growth instead of, the doom and gloom that everybody can put behind it. Not everybody, but some
Yeah.
people.
That's one of the biggest takeaways I want people to take from this is tarot is fun. It's not a toy, but it's an exciting, fun thing. You can think of it, I don't want to say as an adult toy, those are different things. But just something that you can enjoy and not put too much pressure on yourself with. I find a lot of the time, even if I pull a card that seems like the wrong answer, that's my gut telling me that I already knew the right answer. I just wasn't sure of it. So it's just a wonderful
Mhm.
tool. And that's all it is. It's a tool. A lot of people think that they don't even need tarot cards anymore if they've been using them for years, but it's just a fun way to get in touch with your own intuition and maybe get outside of your headspace a little bit.
Now I'm going to show off my two favorite cards just because I haven't yet this episode. Also, before I do that, on a side note, speaking of adult things, I read this really interesting meme the other day, and it was about thinking that about adult beverages. So when you're a
Mhm.
kid, you think that wine is the adult beverage, and then you think it's like scotch or something like that is the adult beverage. But it really turns out that water is the adult beverage.
That is so true.
Because if you're gonna be an adult, you're gonna drink your damn water, which I
I
don't do.
literally have water in this cup. It's a coffee cup, but it has water in it. Do you want to drink water? No. Do you do it? Yeah, you should. That's such a funny thing. I love that. I'm going to
So
reuse
just
that.
thinking of adult things and like side notes. But so my two favorite cards. One of them is my light card, and that's the judgment card. And it's so pretty. It's like
Hmm.
talking about releasing your essence and your soul and allowing it to be present. Um, and then the star card, which really teaches you to talk about miracles and think about and invite miracles into your life. So, and it's a really beautiful watercolor style picture of a girl holding onto a wishing star by a thread and just welcoming it into her life. So those are my two favorite cards, just to jump back.
Those are beautiful. I love that. I love the star card just telling you that you can manifest your own life. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I think the affirmation for that one is I expect miracles.
Good. And you should.
Yeah.
I would say go to your local crystal shop or your local whatever once your quarantine ends wherever you are, go support your local businesses and look at the different tarot cards. You want to get one that speaks to you. Don't get the first one. I literally spend hours looking at these things. I have two on the way actually that I ordered online. I can't make a decision. They're always something I think about for months. But you
Yeah.
have to make the right decision. It's like getting, what can I equate this to? What do you put a lot of thought into before buying?
Big purchases. I put a lot of thought into buying my vacuum because I'm an adult.
Yes. Good point. Yeah, I put a lot of thought into a vacuum too. Maybe not as much as a car or something like that, but think of it the same way. Think of it as a treat to yourself that you really want to resonate with you. And if you're in a shop and you can't find anything that really speaks to you or that you love, don't buy anything that day. Just get something that you really like for
Find
next
artwork
time.
that resonates with you.
Yep, it's so important.
Also, we just compared treats and vacuum cleaners. Hashtag adulting.
You need a good vacuum. Don't cheap out on a vacuum. That's a life lesson I've learned.
That is a good life lesson to learn. I bought myself a Dyson and I will never go back. And it's cordless.
I,
It's beautiful.
ooh, that sounds wonderful. I could have spent $100 more on a vacuum, and I regret it every time I vacuum that I didn't.
Yeah.
Sure, it's fine for the price, and that's what all the reviews said. That's not what you want in a vacuum. It sucks, if you know what I mean.
Or doesn't suck. At least it
Yep,
doesn't blow.
usually. It does hot air right at me. It burns me.
Oh,
That was also in the reviews. I was like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Except for when it's like 25 degrees in here. I have one teeny
yeah.
tiny window that allows no airflow into the entire apartment, so it's hot. Anyway, hey, maybe that might wrap this up because we're getting off on tangents now.
Tangents
Sarah,
aren't
do you
bad.
have any last words of wisdom before we depart?
I really think that it's important to follow your instinct and your intuition with this kind of stuff. You know, if
Mm-hmm.
you're not feeling it, don't buy it. But if you're kind of curious, give it a chance. And really look at it as a way to allow personal growth. I know that in speaking about it today, I've kind of reframed my own thoughts on tarot and
Hmm.
allowed myself to think a little bit more deeply about what I believe in. So it's been a little bit of self discovery this podcast. Please make it
Good.
good and not bleh.
We will try. Yeah, this was wonderful. I would say if you're curious about it, but you thought it was not for you because you aren't psychic, has nothing to do with it. You'll just tap into whatever intuition you think is there. And if you have no intuition, you just read from the handy dandy little book. It's great. There's no prerequisite to having a deck of tarot cards. They're all in good fun. It's just a wonderful tool to potentially make your situation a little bit better.
And start small. Don't run out and get a tarot deck and then start trying to do 10 card spreads and try and lay out your entire life in front of you. It's not going to work. It's going to feel like a task that you just can't get over. Start with single card pulls and then move up to a 3 card spread and then move up to a 5 card spread and then, kind of move yourself forward that way. But the trick with it is doing it daily and kind of learning the cards and really getting
Mm-hmm.
familiar with your cards because they will tell you, um, they'll lead you right.
Yeah. And of course, never feel restricted. If you get home and you want to do that 10 card spread, go ahead. Just remember, you're going to have to flip through the book for every single card that you pull, and you're going to have to write it down because you won't remember. That's another major thing is you should be writing these down because you just might not remember exactly what you were thinking. And that's the thing, you don't need to write down
Yeah.
what the book says. You need to write down what your thoughts were and how it made you feel about that question that you asked.
And the takeaway that you took.
Mm-hmm.
That was the other thing that I was going to bring up is a lot of really important things can be found from journaling. Like if you do a daily card pull and write down your little journal entry about how that card made you feel, what you think that card means for your day, and then followed up, read your diary at the end of the day and just how you can see what resonated with you throughout your day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good way to track, and you can kind of see the ebbs and flows of how your days have been and the things that keep coming up for you. If you've got one card that comes up every single day, I mean, maybe you're not shuffling your deck well enough, but probably what's happening is you're trying to get a message through, and it's trying to tell you that something big is coming and that you should
Hmm.
watch for it or
You mean
take the
like this one
opportunity.
that I said that I kept pulling?
Yeah,
Take the opportunity to what?
to change. If it's
Mm.
something that you don't like the message that you're receiving, change your way of going forward. Change your
Yeah.
attitude, change your steps that you're taking in your everyday.
Yeah, for sure. Good. Yeah. Definitely go out, buy yourself a pack of taro. Just don't think that they're ugly or else you won't use them.
Make sure you get
Incentivize yourself
one
to
that
use
you
them.
like.
It's like when you're drinking coffee. You want to drink it out of a cute mug that you like. Otherwise, you might not enjoy
You
drinking
might like
coffee.
it.
That's not something we should be promoting. For
I
fuck's
drink coffee
sake.
every day. For fuck's
That's what I
sake.
mean. I was like, I shouldn't be equating it to coffee because that's a literal addiction. But I guess if you get a journal, you want to get the cutest journal that you love the most, and that just incentivizes you to use it. That's all I mean.
I need to get a new journal. Just
You
as a side note.
froze? I don't know what you just said.
I said that reminds me I need to get a journal.
Yes. I guess on that note, we should probably wrap it up, just in case things start getting weird. Hey, that's our podcast. All right. Well, yeah, thank you so much for tuning in this week. We do these podcasts every Tuesday, and it's always about something a little weird, a little strange, a little off the beaten path, and it's just what two ladies think about these things. So come on back and definitely write down below if you have tarot cards or if you're interested in what you think about them. We'd love to know.
And on top of that, make sure that you like and subscribe. Follow the podcast. Make sure that you get every episode because every episode is a little different. And if what we said resonated with you or felt important or you think that someone around you can get something from it, please share the episode. It's how we grow and how more people end up seeing the podcast and how in the future we get some really awesome guests on.
Yeah. All right, guys. We love you. Thank you and stay weird.
Bye, guys.
Bye.